discuss a matter with you that I have been very reluctant to raise for a long period of time. But it seems that every time we are engaged to do business with the city of Scottsboro, there's a very, very, very tiny segment that always raises their head and says they've always charged too much and the fees are too high, et cetera, et cetera. And I quite frankly have found it somewhat tiresome at this point in my career. We have never, ever, ever overcharged the city of Scottsboro. The mayor and some of you on the council received a letter some years ago with a chart that looks like this. These allegedly what we had charged Scottsboro, and these were what charged other cities. In making that up, whether it with malice aforethought or gross ignorance, the numbers are not apples to apples or oranges to oranges. Underwriters and bond counsel, and Mr. Timber will bear this out, some bond counsel say cost of issuance. One of the issues that we had done for Scottsboro was a variable rate issue, and what this segment of people included in cost of issuance was insurance, letter of credit, bond counsel, rating, and everything else. And then on the other side would show that Fort Payne, and they would show only the underwriter's discount. When we immediately received this, we asked our auditing department and our compliance department to look at it. They found no issues. I do not ever want my compliance department to find an issue. We had our auditors go back and do a study which shows that Scottsboro has always been under the average cost of underwriting. So if you compare, honestly, underwriting fees to underwriting fees, Scottsboro has always been very, very low. I'm reluctant to raise this issue because my daddy always taught me that the more you stir a stink, the worse it smells. The younger guys in the office told me, he said, Larry, years ago you dealt with the council that you grew up with, graduated from high school with, and they knew you. You have new people now. And all I want to ask any one of you, if you have any question at all about whether Scottsboro has ever been overcharged, that you will set an appointment in Scottsboro and we will come with all the facts and figures to show you that it ain't so. That will enable you as council members, when you hear garbage, to say, no, my responsibility to my constituents has required me to study the issue. I have. We haven't been overcharged. Now, I thought it rather interesting that not long ago, somebody shared an email with me where they were supporting doing business with a local bank. That local bank happens to be my bank. That's where I do business. So I'm all for doing business with them. And there's a certain type of business they do that we don't do. There's a certain type of business we do and they don't do. They ended it with talking about how many people that bank employs in Jackson County. And that really rang a bell with me because I can remember when one of our banks was sold a few years ago and how many people lost their jobs and how many buildings are vacant yet because that bank was sold. Not to mention the decline in assets and wealth of the people that were stockholders in that bank. So, you know, it's a personal matter to me at this point. I appreciate y'all doing business with us. This is home. That ain't gonna change. I'm related to half of this town. The timber that Tony's talking about, my great-grandparents were buried on that island and had to be moved to Cedar Hill. I still have strong connections with the professional clubs, people in the supper club, in the churches. Tell me what's being told. And you as a council member have an obligation, plus I think the personal responsibility of knowing the truth. In fact, there was a time, I think, when they said we can't, maybe I even bribed Councilman said, God Almighty, I hate think that right in the question. Thank you for listening. It matters to me. Get with Mr. Green and set up your appointment, and he will go over every one of those numbers. There are no surprises. There are no overcharges. Mr. President.
Thank you. The only thing I had tonight, the mayor took it before I had a chance, was I went up there and looked to see what the burning was up there. And I'd seen and spoken to Mr. Killo probably a month or so ago. He had told me what he was planning on doing, so he has made a huge impact up there, and it looks really good. So I appreciate you coming out tonight, Shannon, Mr. Stevens. Do I have a motion to adjourn? Have a second? Sorry. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no.